Alright, Bonehawks, this video is all about cameos. We're going to go through all the cameos, we're going to take a look at each of them, and I'm going to rank them for you based on my experience and kind of my knowledge on what they do. And yeah, not really from best to worst, just kind of all over the place. We're going to take this from the bottom all the way up. So that looks like we're starting with Shujinko. If you're new around here and you like stuff like this, consider subscribing. That being said, let's get into it.
Accept your death.
So before we get into it, I want to remind everybody that cameos do change your health. I talk about it a little bit where I think it is relevant. Not all cameos will do that, but I'm going to give you the list here, and then I'll also put it in the description down below just so you can reference it. Cyrax does not change your health. Darrius gives you 50 health. Frost does not change your health. Goro gives you 50 less health. Jax gives you 100 health. Kano, minus 50. Kung Lao, 0. Motaro, minus 50. Scorpion, 0. Sareena, plus 50. Sektor, 0. Shujinko, 0. Stryker, minus 50. Sonya, 0. And Sub-Zero, plus 50. So, that being said, let's get to the list. So starting off, we have a D tier, and we're just going to use this to put in the 2 cameos who are not available yet. So they have them on this tier list, which is weird. They only have 2, and there's like 4 that they've confirmed. So I don't know why there's just these 2 on there, but starting with the ones that we can actually use, Shujinko. This is my current main cameo, and I have him in the B tier. He's just a solid, good. He steals moves from your opponent, and if you're in like a true mirror match, he'll steal your cameo. But yeah, some of the moves, it really depends on the matchup, and let me just give you an example of the polarization that can happen with this character. So here we're up against Sub-Zero. I mean, poor Sub-Zero, man. They did him really dirty in this game. He's not very good at all. But this is an example of where Shujinko actually really shines, because we steal Sub-Zero's freeze. It takes our full Shujinko bar, but you can do something like this. While you're comboing, we call him back out. So we have a 43% damage combo, and we've used 0 resources. We haven't used meter, we haven't used technically our cameo bar because we used it, but then we charged it back by the time the combo was done. This is an example of where Shujinko is really, really strong. So here we're up against Baraka, and we steal the little chop blades that Baraka does as our big boy steal. And although Shujinko is the king of everything you can do, I can do better, when we do that move, Shujinko is neutral on block, and Baraka is minus 11. So it's the same move, but we're just safer on it. But it doesn't really offer us too much utility, as well as we steal the Blade Spark as well, which again is nice, but I mean, when you're dealing against Baraka and Cyrax, you need something just a little bit beefier than these 2 moves. They don't really add any crazy combo potential or anything like that. Not that I've found yet. Another one is Johnny Cage. It's kind of hard to find places to put his nut punch in that we steal. So little things like that is kind of why I put him in the lower tier. Alright, so next up we got Darrius. Darrius I have in the A tier. I have seen very few people use this character, and I think he's kind of like a big brain mix-up character. From looking at all the stuff that he can do, I'm seeing some really crazy stuff. Let's give you an example of what he does. Alright, so right off the bat he has his Twister Kicks, which is a mid, and if it hits the opponent, it puts them into a crumple state, which means you get a combo from it. Although the combo scales fairly hard and there's a lot of gravity on it, this kind of I think is more to be canceled into one of his other moves, which is the double whammy or Twister Kicks. So the double whammy here we have starts with the Twister Kicks, and we flip him over. He's on the other side. We can delay him and delay an overhead, which can create some pretty crazy low overhead mix kind of stuff. And then his overhead pops up as well for full combo. So that's pretty sick. And then outside of that, he also has his 1-bar move, which is just a huge swinging mid attack that's safe on block. Minus 7. I think this is also a wake-up attack as well. Like I was saying, I haven't had the greatest luck getting those to work. They seem to get stuffed pretty easily, but worth noting. But yeah, I think between all of that, I think he's a solid A tier cameo. Next up is Goro, and this is our first S tier cameo. Goro is absolutely nuts. There's pretty much nothing that this cameo can't do. The only downside I see to picking him is that you lose 50 health, but that is more than what he does for you. It's definitely worth it. Let's do a brief overview here. So starting off with this Raise the Roof string, we have Shang Tsung. I'm just using Shang Tsung because that's what I'm familiar with. We have this move that's minus 11. We end it with the Raise the Roof string. That keeps us safe. And we're actually plus 9. So we went from being minus 11 to plus 9. That's crazy. That's like more insane block pressure. And you can imagine using this with a character like Johnny Cage or something like that, or even Baraka, who like really just wants to rush you down and do a bunch of chip damage and blah blah blah. Like, it's just absolutely insane. He also has a low throw, which is very unique in this game. I think that's the only one, if I'm not mistaken. It only costs 1 bar, and yeah, for certain characters it can launch and do into crazy combos. It's just a really good tool, and again, especially if you have mix-ups where you want your, like you say you have a low in your string, like Shang Tsung for example, where we have this one, you could do this. The Goro, that's a mix-up. You're blocking low. It's really strong. He also has a full-on unblockable attack, which is an ambush attack. So you can call this in the middle of your combo to kind of have some sort of like a Oki situation where he comes down. Let's see if I can figure something out here with Shang Tsung real quick. Now, this isn't anything optimal, it's just kind of more of an idea of something that you can do. Boom, so if they get up, you get hit by a fireball, or you got the Goro stomp. So some of these things can be kind of skirted by using the delay wake up, and don't forget that that's a thing in this game. You get knocked down, you just hold L2 and you'll get the delayed wake up. But Goro, for what he does, is absolutely insane. Definitely S tier. Moving on now to Sareena. I have this character as a solid B tier. You see her everywhere. Everyone's kind of using this character because she really just gives you easy damage. She's not too super hard to work with, and I would say she's a really good Kameo if you're just learning the game. So she also can steal your opponent's meter, which is a really good move. It is just in a vicinity though, so you got to be careful about how you use it. But in the corner, it's pretty nuts. She steals 1 full bar of your super meter. So let's check her out real quick. Again, we have Shang Tsung, who I'm familiar with. Just using him. So here's an example of a combo extender you could do with her. So yeah, 47%, and already half of your Kameo bar has filled back. So it just makes like super easy combos and things like that. Super nuts. And again, steals your meter, steals a full bar meter. Let's see if I can show that real quick. Hold. Boom. There it goes. It's going away, and it's gone, and she leaves. Oh, not quite a full bar. Just under. Just a little sliver there. It also has a single projectile that she can throw, just kind of like a check you kind of a tool. It is a summon, which kind of sucks, but then she's got her demon kick. It's kind of your wake up attack, but again, I find wake up attacks get stuffed pretty easily. But super quick. And it's got some decent range on it too. So yeah, Sareena's solid Kameo, just doesn't really have the dirt that I think to kind of put her any higher than that, but super good for anyone that wants some easy combos and maybe some meter management stuff. Alright, so moving on now to Sektor, who is a super good Kameo. Not only does he have a homing attack, he has a flame restand with this flamethrower. And yeah, a teleport that actually can give you combos when you wouldn't have some. But he has a lot of utility. He's definitely one of those Kameos can just kind of work with any character. Let's show you some examples. So his homing missile just kind of keeps things safe. You can do things that normally you wouldn't do. I've seen a lot of setups with Mileena. Again, my good friend Hater made actually a video on Sektor and Mileena, and I'll link that in the description down below if you want to see some pretty gross stuff that she can do. Yeah, it definitely keeps her safe, and then you can kind of aim it either forward or backwards. His teleport, generally, young Shang wouldn't get anything off of this, but because we can call Sektor in for the assist, we can get a little bit of damage. So little things like that, little pickups, and then of course we have the flamethrower, which is a restand. So yeah, plus 19 on hit, depending on the combo, that's going to vary, but yeah, still a super duper strong Kameo, and kind of just good utility overall. Alright, and next for our second S tier Kameo, we have Cyrax. And mostly because of the little helicopter thing that he does, it's the amount of combos you can get, the damage, the chip damage. Seeing Cyrax and Johnny Cage played together is one of the scariest things I've ever seen in my life. Not only do you have pressure, but you have plus frames on chip damage. Like, that is such a strong pairing. I think the most common one that we've seen is Baraka paired with Cyrax, which is, again, is really strong, allows for all sorts of different combos. But yeah, again, it seems to be mostly the helicopter thing. Everything else that he does seems like decent, but this one just kind of really is a cut above. Just an absolutely insane cameo move. Yeah, so even with a character like Shang Tsung, who isn't really meant to do this kind of thing, he just kind of creates a rushdown character. So we do a string like that. Normally that string, -11, we know that. But then we add Cyrax on the end, who saves us and adds even more chip damage, so that's like... that's almost 70 damage in just one string with Shang Tsung, who's not supposed to do that. So it's pretty crazy. And again, like I said, if you've played online at all, or even watched anyone play online, you've seen the Baraka Cyrax shenanigans he can do. That move is just absolutely busted. It is just so good and adds so much utility to pretty much anybody. Next on the list is Motaro, and this is a strong cameo. Not quite in the S tier, but A tier for sure. The utility, the teleport that he has that can create combos, which is pretty nuts. We saw that with General Shao a couple times. He has a projectile reflect. He can actually just walk towards you, which is kind of menacing, honestly. Just to see Motaro just walking across the screen at you. And then he has a little low shot that he can do, which add a little mix-up in there. But like the big daddy move you got is the 3 fireballs, which uses his full meter, so it's expensive, but the utility is insane. Also, he does take away 50 of your health to use, but keep that in mind. Below, this can be really good for checking movement. It has really decent range. Almost half screen, almost. And just uses 1 bar of cameo meter. Projectile reflect you hold if you want to spend more meter on this. So it can use your whole cameo bar, or you can just kind of press it. If you see, like, say, Mileena or something, just throws out a projectile, try and react, do the reflect. Or if you want to really intimidate your opponent, just have Motaro walk him down. This does not make Motaro invincible, just so you know. So, like, Baraka could just walk up and kick him, and then he goes away, so just keep that in mind. But yeah, the amount of things that you can do with this right here, like, look at that, just combos all on its own. I was messing around with some zoning shenanigans with Shang Tsung, and check out some of the chip damage you can get. That's almost 150 damage in chip for just blocking, because those projectiles are mids. It's actually pretty nutty. Of course, we can't forget his teleport. So he just grabs us, he moves us to safety. This can actually combo into some pretty crazy stuff, like I was working on with Young Shang here. Yeah, so his 3 fireballs will actually combo into himself if you can time the Motaro teleport properly. But yeah, things like that. Motaro is a very solid cameo. Alright, now we got Sonya Blade. And let me tell you, I got Sonya in a tier of her own. In a bad way. She sucks. She is not a very good cameo. She does have some things, but she's like the ultimate example of why would I pick her when I can just pick somebody else? You know? Like, it's... I don't understand where... Like, sure, maybe in like the early versions of the game or whatever, when there was only 3 of them, but like... There's just no real reason to pick her. Let's go over it here. So starting off with the square wave, it's not great. It adds a really weird gravity to the combos, so like this is kind of one that I came up with. And that actually does less than my regular B&B with Shang. Also, if you want combo extenders, just pick Scorpion. He does that way better. Second is the projectile. This isn't terrible. This is probably her only redeeming factor, because she can hold it for a second and make it a mid. And you can get some pretty crazy plus frames off of this. I got it as plus as 102 on block full screen. So, I mean, who's going to just let you charge this right in their face? Perhaps there's some Oki knockdown wake-up stuff that's going on, but all in all, I don't really see it that good. Leg grab is the same idea. It adds a weird gravity to it, and it takes forever to come back. I don't know why it's charging so slow. That was just a really weird decision by NRS. So the only thing I can think that maybe is good is this charge projectile. But again, it's like Motaro. If you charge it, it's going to use more Kameo meter. It does come back fast though, so I guess that's not terrible. But again, there are other characters that do better things. Alright, so next we have a perfect example of that, and we have Jax. So Jax I have in the S tier. I think he's one of the best cameos in the game. He offers you so much utility, and he even gives you 100 health just for picking him. That, in and of itself, is pretty crazy. Yeah, first is unblockable setups. So like this is nuts. So if you have a character that like can do air stuff, like say Natara, Shang Tsung has this little air projectile he can do, because it will hit your opponent too. You have to be careful of that. But the amount of setups you can get with this, especially in thinking about things in the corner, and even just getting like baiting jumps, you know, because like you have to get like Natara can get some crazy damage if she baits a jump. I don't know how to play her, but I've seen it. It's pretty nuts. But I think she would pair well with the Jax cameo. And then he also has the combo extenders as well. So again, shades of Sonya. Why would you use Sonya when you can use Jax and get all this other utility, extra health, and then combo extenders as well. And last is the square wave, which hits full screen. Might be good for zoners. That's also his wake up attack. So yeah, Jax, pretty crazy cameo. Next up is Frost, and Frost is one of the cameos that actually gives you a bit of a mix-up in this game. You get a little low slide. However, it is kind of death on block. I have her in the B tier. She has some pretty cool utility, but I don't think she does anything super crazy. Yeah, so she has that low, which is good, but it's minus 24. Probably minus a little even bit more if you do it right up in their face. Minus 28. So you got to be careful with it, got to be responsible with it. It is a good movement check, though. If you're kind of using it for zoning or whatever to kind of make sure that your opponent is, you know, watching their toes, right? Throw that out, especially if you got a character like Shang Tsung, who we're doing like high fireballs. They're trying to duck the fireballs. We throw that out. So definitely not a useless move. You just have to be a little bit extra careful with it. Then she's got her Frost Bomb as well. This, I believe, was buffed from the beta because I don't remember it going as far as it does now, which is pretty good. It's a slow startup, but I mean, it's a good move, so like that kind of pays off. Then she has the Frost Crash, which is a good plus on block wake up attack. And if you hold it, she does the little Frosty's Revenge or whatever it's called. It looks like those are all highs though, so just duck, bro. I mean, she's trying her best. Let's be real here. But yeah, I have Frost in the B tier. Next up is Stryker, and Stryker is really strong. I don't quite have him in the S tier, I have him in A tier, but he offers you mix-ups, he offers you restands, he offers you some good ambush attacks. He's just a very offensively strong cameo. He's got the Cop Bop, which is a 22 frame overhead that's extremely strong. Like I said, most people can react to around 18 frames-ish, so that's quite good. Especially since you don't really know whether he's going to do that or the trip up. So you can see him coming on stream, but is it going to be low or overhead? I don't know. Guess as good as mine. And the ambush grenades, I kind of assumed that he was going to have that. He also has the cuffed move, where he basically gives your character a restand. Yeah, if you got mix, you can go into your mix, or do like a throw or something like that. I've seen some pretty funky stuff with this. So Stryker, definitely really strong cameo. Not sure that he's on the same level as the S tier ones. Plus you lose 50 health for using him as well. So, yeah. But I entertain the idea if you want to post some dirt that you got with Stryker. Our boy Kano. Kano is also a solid A tier cameo. He has some really good ambush attacks with his knives and his Kano ball. The kind of downside is his eye laser is kind of useless. A good idea, but I mean, in the stress test it was a mid, and I think they've nerfed that now, so it's a high, so you can just duck it. Haven't really found much utility with that, but his ability to extend combos and things like that are really cool. He's the one that I started on, so I think he's just a super strong cameo for kind of any character in the game. Yeah, so if you use him, play around with your combos and stuff, because one thing like Young Shang, like I mentioned earlier, can't really combo off of that, but Kano changes that. So, not exactly an optimal combo, but just kind of, again, just showing you the idea of it. And of course, the Kano ball being a mid, So that can really kind of help you keep yourself safe, and you can charge it if you want, all the way up to your full meter. Kind of keep your opponent guessing. Use it on wake up. Boom, big knockback. Again, the Kano laser being a high just seems like kind of a wasted move, but the character overall just adds so much utility. Alright, we're almost done Bone Honks, so we got 3 left. Kung Lao could be the best cameo in the game. He's up there with Goro for sure. The things that he can do, the low hat makes you +2 on whatever you're doing. You do the most unsafe stuff, +2. He actually makes your character invincible, which is absolutely nuts. And he can teleport you from safety. Like, what else do you need? Literally, what else do you need? And he doesn't cost any health to use. So, of course, low hat being a low attack, and the recovery on that for the meter to come back is super duper quick. Like, boom, full screen low. If you use this in your block pressure, make anything safe. Like I mentioned earlier, that string's usually -11, now we're +2. So, literally anything. Go back in, +2. Craziness. That move there makes your character invincible. Keep in mind, it's your character that's invincible, not Kung Lao, so Kung Lao can get hit out of it. But let's take a look at how we can use this in the middle of strings. So if you're running out of armor or something, say, and you need a hand, Kung Lao's got your back. Into full combo too. That's crazy. Armored launcher. Kung Lao gives you an armored launcher. That alone might make him the best character in this game. And then again, he has the teleport, which is different uses depending on which character that he's doing it with. But he'll literally grab you out of whatever animation and take you away. Up, up, and away! But yeah, Kung Lao, in my opinion, between Kung Lao and Goro, I think those are the 2 top cameos in the game. Currently. If you're watching this from the future, that might have changed. Scorpion is in the A tier, in my opinion. He is your combo extender cameo. He's a little tricky to learn. Like, he's got his different distances on his, like, upwards air fireballs, but once you can learn that, you can create some pretty crazy combos. I've seen some wackiness with Shang Tsung, let me tell you. He has a close one, and then he has a far one, which will be like full screen. He does have an overhead, but this is unsafe. It's also a summon, so you can't really like do it in the middle of your combo, but you could do something like this craziness. Just, again, make sure it's unsafe, but it has decent range, so you might be able to hit somebody kind of off guard with it. And lastly, he has a really good move in the Get Over Here, which actually grants you armor. You can also use it on Wake Up as well. Get you out of danger. Get over here. A little redundant in the corner, though. Still get that hit of armor, so there's that. And last, but certainly not least, is Sub-Zero. And Sub-Zero I have, again, in the A tier. So most of the cameos, in my opinion, are really, really good. There's only a couple that kind of falter below them. Sub-Zero, of course, has the ice armor, which is my most hated move. I really don't like fighting against that, because I can't throw projectiles. It eats projectiles, as well as Shang Tsung's claw move, which is my wake-up attack, which kind of sucks. That being said, there are ways around it. So first, the ice armor. This will grant you 5 hits of projectiles before it breaks. So keep that in mind, it's not infinite. So for example, Shang Tsung, we do one of these. We've broken it. So, again, keep that in mind. 5 hits. Draco's Shuriken, if all of them hit, we'll just shred it, like, no problem. So just keep that in mind when you're using it. It also has a combo extender, which is kind of fun. And it scales fairly nicely, too. Turns our 38% B&B into 40, so that's kind of nice. And then a shoulder charge as well that has really good range. It can be plus on block depending on where you put it. Other than that, yeah, Sub-Zero is just a really strong cameo. He's pretty basic. Those are like the 3 things that he does, but he does them well. And that's it. That's my cameo tier list and kind of what I think of each of them. What did you think? Did there something that I said or something that I missed that I should be aware of? And what Kameo are you using, and how are you liking it so far? Personally, I'm rocking the Shang Tsung and the Shujinko, and it's been a lot of fun because it's so big brain and there's so much to learn. I don't know how good it is yet, but I'm definitely having a blast learning it. So, if you enjoyed this video, please leave a like because it really helps me out, and subscribe if you haven't, because making new videos almost every single day. Hashtag Bonehawks, all that stuff, and we'll see all you Bonehawks in the next video.
Accept your death.